You ready? All right, we start. Parashat Vehaya Ekev Tishme'un. So Hayim Kadosh writes, we know Vehaya is Lashon Simcha. Why did the Torah just write Im Tishme'un et HaMishpatim? You learn, you keep the Torah, the Mishpatim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu promises us blessings. Or you have to write Ekev. Vehaya Ekev Tishme'un. Says the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, En Ekev ela Lashon Simcha. En Vehaya ela Lashon Simcha. The language of Vehaya, as we know, there's two different words. Vayhi, like we find, Vayhi bimei Hashverosh, Vehaya. Vehaya always means happiness. Va is always a language of happiness. Vayhi, on the other hand, is vai. Vai is always bad. That's like oy vavoy, like we say in Hebrew. So that's vayhi. Here it says vehaya. It says the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, there's only one way to keep the Torah and the mitzvot properly, and that's through happiness. If a person is not happy, very difficult to keep Torah and mitzvot. He takes it a step further. He says we know a person who is in mourning, who is in Avel, is asur b'talmud Torah. Now most assume the reason why you're not allowed to learn is because in Avel is supposed to be sad. And Torah makes a person happy. But it's also true in the other direction. A person in Ilchot Talmud Torah is not supposed to learn when he's sad. He's supposed to learn through happiness, through joy. Because the Torah, part and parcel of Talmud Torah is joy of Torah. Like it says in the Ahavat Olam, Nismach v'na'aloz. You know the Sfaradim, we have an additional word. The Ashkenazim say, V'nismach b'divrei Talmud Toratecha. One time Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach saw a Sidur Sfaradi, and he said that it says over there, Nismach v'na'aloz. And he says it was worth it to open up and come to Yerushalayim, open up the Sidur, see the Sfaradi. He was happy the whole day. Why? They have an additional word, Nismach v'na'aloz. Aliza means an extreme happiness. A person has to learn Torah with an extreme happiness. If he's sad, collect yourself, gather yourself, and then start learning. As the Gemara says, the Rava would always start his shiur with what's called milta divtichuta. Milta divtichuta means a matter that was light, very happy, would warm up the heart. He would always start in a very positive way in order so that people could get into the mood, because that is a necessary condition. A person is not supposed to learn depressed. He's supposed to learn excited. Vehaya ekev tishmeun. If you learn the Torah with simcha, then all of these brachot will happen. And then the question becomes, how does a person learn and serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu with happiness? Especially today. Today, every person, from meyonek ve'ad olel, children, elderly, people of mid-age are very stressed out. You see a kid, he's 10 years old, and they're stressed. What are you stressed? You have panasah of your family on your shoulders. What are you stressed about? He's stressed. I don't know what it is. Tests. He just talked about regions. Stressed about how he's going to be in the basketball game. How is he going to be together with his friends at the party? Everything stresses people out today. It's not like earlier generations. It was a lot more zoem. They had much bigger issues, but they were more calm. Today people are stressed. A person who's stressed out has to realize that when it comes to learning Torah in a situation of tsar, in a sad situation, if he's learning Torah from bitterness, it's not a healthy Torah. It's not a productive Torah. It has to be done with happiness. Even with the Kohanim, we know that when they bless Am Yisrael, they're supposed to be doing it be'ahava. If a person is angry and sad and upset, you shouldn't do Birkat Kohanim. You should step aside. It was ad kedei kach that some authorities held that until a person is married, he shouldn't do Birkat Kohanim. A Kohen who's not married should not do. Why? Hasharui belo isha, sharui belo simcha. A person who's not married doesn't have that level of happiness that you need for Birkat Kohanim. So what should he do? He should step outside. This is not halacha lema'aseh. We don't say that. We definitely say that the person is supposed to do Birkat Kohanim. It's his mitzvah. But we do agree that if he's sad, he should calm himself down. He should think happy thoughts, and he should put himself in the right mindset to be able to do Birkat Kohanim properly. And the same thing is true for learning Torah. If a person has worries, he says, what difference does it make if I worry about my worry this hour that I'm learning Torah? Think about it. It's going to make a difference if I'm worried about my worry or I'm not worried about it. It's going to be the same problem regardless. If it's health, if it's parnasa, if it's somebody he needs to be meeting, a very important meeting, it's not going to change the dynamic. It's better not to worry. Why do I need to worry? I'll worry 2 seconds before it happens, I'll worry. Then I'll be worried. But right now, no nafka mina. And then he's able to get it out of his mind. He clears up the mind. He's able to learn Torah the proper way to learn Torah, which is through happiness. One of the great messages that Torah has, a lot of times people view Torah as a burden. And it's very sad and unfortunate because it makes it impossible to keep the Torah. With a person's wrong mindset, you cannot keep the Torah. It's mamash talui on the mindset. As the Ben Ish Chai says an incredible story. The story he says is with a man that his name is Tuvia. Tuvia was very prominent in a certain country. An entire country would essentially, figuratively, bow before him. Why? He was the main judge. Like today we have 9 Supreme Court justices. The Supreme Court, they're the most elevated of judges. Al piyam yisha kol davar. If they decide one way, that becomes the law of the land. They decide a different way. There, in this country, it was one judge, and he would determine, but not just simple matters, matters of life and death, matters that were of laws and politics, and this person making him wealthy, making him poor. The whole entire economy changes based on this one man's word and decision. It can affect the whole entire country. Anybody that would see Tuvia walking down the street, this is Tuvia, always he commanded respect. Wherever he went, he was respected and, because of the power, feared. He could declare anything on anybody. So, naturally, as anybody with a position of power, there's always those that are very jealous and that try to strip away that power. Now, what's the most effective way is to go to the most powerful person, which is the king, and to speak lashon hara against Tuvia. People would do this on a constant basis, years, and the king loved Tuvia. He didn't believe them. Avayhi ayom, there was a certain day that the king felt that Tuvia was being a little disloyal. He saw something that triggered him and reminded him of a certain story. And dafka on that day, it was in Et Ratzon, they started speaking again lashon hara about Tuvia. And this time, something in the king's heart changed, and he believed them. He believed them, and he felt that Tuvia was being treacherous and a danger to the kingdom. Achad dato le'amit. He wanted Tuvia to be tried, and you know what that means. That Tuvia was no fool, he was a smart man. And before the king was able to get his hands on him, he already picked up that there was something off, something was wrong. The king wasn't enenu panav enenu kitmol shishom. He's not talking to him. He's not signaling to him the signals of previous days. And he realized something was amiss. He said, I'm in danger. I'm going to run away before I have a chance of finding out what's going on. This story, the Ben Ish Chai says this story. Tuvia began to run away. He put on simple garments. He changed his garments that he would wear like a peasant to escape the king and to escape anybody that knew who he was. And he started running. He ran through villages, through forests, through different areas to run as far away from the kingship and the capital as he could. He gets to a certain part where it's sort of a dead end. There's this massive, massive river. Raging river, long, wide. He needs to cross it. The problem was, Tuvia was a very fat man, and he wasn't so tall exactly. He was short and fat, and it's not exactly the great qualities for a swimmer. If anybody knows, the great swimmers, they're always long and skinny. They're the best swimmers. The short and fat category, they don't make it into the Olympics really. They can float well, sometimes. They can also sink well. So, Tuvia didn't know what to do. He was looking for a ferry. He was looking some sort of raft. Maybe I'll be able to get onto it. Nothing. Can't find anything. He was getting worried. If he stays here long enough, people are going to gather. Someone's going to identify him. The king is going to find out. He can't make it across. He'll be cornered. The king's going to catch him, sentence him. Now for sure, he's going to be put to death because he ran away. So that always is a sign of suspicion. Tuvia was frantic. What should I do? What should I do? There was a young man, maybe late teenage years, a skinny young man who was there and sees Tuvia. He says, is this Tuvia, the judge, that the whole kingdom shakes in front of him? And he offers Tuvia, he sees that he's struggling, I'll take you across the river. On my own back, I'll take you. Now in his mind, he's saying, I'll do this big favor for Tuvia. Now he doesn't know. There's a whole story and he's running away. He doesn't know all this. He says, I'll take him on my back. If I do him a favor, who knows? Maybe he'll hire me. Maybe he'll give me riches. Maybe one day I'll need him and he'll do favors for me. It's worth building that relationship and that connection because you never know where it ends up. I'll take you on my back. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Hashem should bless you. He's swimming with him on his back. They go 1/3, 2/3. They're at the last quarter, about to make it to the end. And Tuvia is so happy that he took him. He says, when I return to my greatness, I promise you to slow down. Well, what did you just say? He understood. What do you mean you return to your greatness? Yeah, the king is chasing me. But I promise you when I get back to my position, I'm going to reward you handsomely. He says, buddy, forget it. Throws him off his back in the middle of the river. Throws him off his back and swims back. Now, at this point in time, a whole crowd started to form, and they started booing him. Whoa, boo, what are you doing? He gets up to the shore, and they say, what's wrong with you? If you don't have the koach, the energy, then how did you take him 3/4 of the way? If you were able to take him 3/4 and you had enough might to do that, why didn't you finish? Take him the last quarter. Why did you leave him here? He said, listen, the truth of the matter is, I never had this strength. Look at my body. Look at how many pounds he weighs. Look at how I weigh. How physically would I be able to lift up such a person? Not 3/4, even 5 feet. How would I be able to lift such a person? Elama. What gave me the strength? What gave me the adrenaline, the rush, the ability to do it? Was because I saw, if I take him across, he's going to owe me a favor. We're going to build a relationship. We're going to build a connection. We're going to be buddies. And then so much good can emerge. The minute that he told me 3/4 of the way in that he has no more power, and I know that means that everything that I dreamed about is over. It's not happening. He's not becoming king again. He's not going to become anything special. He's done. He's toast. Then all of that willpower just completely dissolved. It vanished into thin air. Nature, I can't carry him. And I physically was no longer capable of holding on to this man. And I had to let him go, and I swam back. This story, the Ben Ish Chai, actually derives a very powerful lesson from it, but it's not connected with what I wanted to say. The powerful lesson the Ben Ish Chai says is that a person should sometimes keep quiet. Don't share too much information. You know, this Tuvia fellow, he didn't have to give him a bracha and say, if I rise to power, all of a sudden now this man drops him half the way there. Sometimes it's good to just lay low and don't say anything. Get to shalom, don't count your eggs before they hatch. V'gamanu. And this man failed that, but there's a powerful lesson that's underlying in this story. Here's a concept in Kochot HaNefesh. A man is capable of doing so much more when he has his will behind it. If you're interested in something, it's easy. Even if naturally it would have been hard and perhaps even impossible. The minute that there's willpower and there's a desire to do, you will do and you will succeed. And people see this all the time. To somebody whose whole life is succeeding in business, it's not difficult for him. It's not, how do you do this? How do you work 11 hours a day? How do you go from the morning until the night without even one meal? You're just constantly working on the phone, on the computer, on the this, doing and running around from one town to another town and making business and talking to people without even concentrating on anything but the business. 11 hours straight. How do you do that? It sounds like it's an incredible feat. The answer is, this is Ritzono. If His will is there, anything difficult becomes easy. It becomes simple. Why? Because He sees what He's accomplishing, what He's doing, what kind of a connection He's building to the wealth that is going to make His life easier, so He does it willingly. It's not difficult at all. But naturally it would be hard. But for Him it's easy. And that's the mentality. If a person, yes, we have 613 mitzvot. That's a lot of mitzvot. It's a lot of obligations. Even though Chafetz Chaim says, any given person is probably a third of that. Hey, you're not a Kohen, you don't have Bet HaMikdash, you're not in Eretz Yisrael. It's a lot less mitzvot that are relevant. But still, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us many mitzvot. Everywhere we turn, you can't speak Lashon Hara. Onad Devarim. Don't disrespect him. Kibud Avayim. You got to be careful. Lo tirtzach. Don't go ahead and even offend him a little bit because you might be a violation of Ritzicha. So many things. Everywhere we turn, your money, you have to be straight. You can't mislead. You got to make sure you're being honest. You're filling out your forms with the government. You got to be true to what is written. Okay. All these things, rules, everything. You say to yourself, how am I supposed to keep this? And then I go and I spend too much time wasted. Torah tells us, Bitul Torah, you're wasting your time and you have to be focused, you have to be like, how am I supposed to do all this? The answer is, if you understand you're building a connection with the Ribono Shel Olam, if the Ratzon is there, not only is it doable, it's easy. What do you mean? Hard? Ma Hashem Elokecha shoel meimach, says Moshe Rabbeinu. What is HaKadosh Baruch Hu already asking from you? Ki im le'irah et Hashem Elokecha u'la'ava et Hashem. These are like pillars that are so impossible. But for Moshe Rabbeinu, it's a ratzon. If you want that connection, you could carry tuvia on your back. You could carry 10 tuvias on your back. If you have that knowledge of understanding, you know what this is going to give me? You know what this is going to do for me? To be in a relationship with the Ribono Shel Olam, not some judge that today is here and tomorrow he's kicked out. It's the Ribono Shel Olam, the greatest relationship that could be. You have such a scenario, such a situation, wow, unbelievable. There's so many times when we have that perspective, it changes the whole mindset. Whether it's something like a lot of times people are stressed out with tuition. You have people that they're debating. Unfortunately, they don't really understand. There's a debate, should I send my kids to Jewish schools? With the public schools, they're free. Why should I send to Jewish school? I pay $10,000, $20,000 to Jewish school. Public school is free. It's debate. It's hard. Every penny, every month he pulls out the money, it's like you're pulling his neshama from him. A person who understands what it means to have children that are educated with the Jewish education, maybe he has older brothers that have he has older nephews, nieces, maybe it's somebody in an extended family that send their kids to public school and now are marrying goyot. Whatever the reason is, and he sees the benefit of what it means to send your kids to Jewish school, he sees the parenting, he sees the children, how incredible, and he's not thinking twice. What do you mean? What's my other choice? Of course I'm going to send to Jewish. B'simcha, 10, 15, whatever you ask, I'm giving you, no problem whatsoever. I know this is the greatest thing. Here's the same amount. They might be earning the same amount of money. They have the same income, this person and that person. This man has ratzon, he wants it, he understands its purpose, he understands the benefit. This man doesn't. He doesn't really get, just heard a shiur about the importance of, he sends his kid to public school, he's going to Gehinom. He heard a shiur, so he's like, I feel like I have to do this, but he doesn't get what he's doing. It's hard for him. He's not gonna, it's easy, he's never gonna catch up. Because it's difficult. The whole idea of the Torah says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, get into the right mindset. V'haya ekev tishmun. It's joyful. V'nismach v'na'aloz. Be excited. You're learning Torah. You're learning connecting with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's excitement. That's joy. Joy. What? No problem. I'll sit in the yeshiva from 9 o'clock in the morning, 7:30 at night. I'll be able to learn. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not thinking about the news and I'm thinking about the dinner. I'm thinking about Torah. Why? I'm building a connection. The ratzon is there. And when the ratzon isn't there, it doesn't, not even forget 10 hours. 5 minutes is hard for a person to sit and learn. 5 minutes he can't learn Torah. If his willpower is not, if he doesn't appreciate, doesn't understand what he's doing, he can't sit for 5 minutes to learn. It's a burden that's beyond belief. It's like you take You take these people like the Panovich Rav one time. It's a great story. He hired workers to build the yeshiva. The problem was, the workers were hired, but the supplies weren't there. The wood didn't arrive, the cement didn't arrive. So the workers, they're looking at their clocks. It's 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock, and they said, look, you hired us, but there's no supply. He says, listen, I have an obligation to pay you regardless. The money I owe you. Elamai, you should sit there doing nothing. I hired you for the day. So you know what? I want you to do this job. Go to the Beit Midrash, sit there and learn. I hired you, I'm paying you full. This is your job for today. You can't build the yeshiva, so you're going to go sit and learn. So they said, okay. They went to they thought like, okay, we work all day outside in 90-degree weather. You know, right now, I don't know how many people heard on the news, but like Israel's breaking records in heat. In places in Israel, 121 degrees Fahrenheit is like an insane amount of heat with humidity. Ooh, I don't know how they're putting up with it. Various places in Israel, everywhere in Israel is like over 100 degrees. So it was a hot day in Bnei Brak. You could imagine, Panovich is in Bnei Brak. Anybody been to Bnei Brak? You know Bnei Brak? Who's been to Bnei Brak in the summer? Gabriel, you've been to Bnei Brak. Have you been there in the summer? What is it, the humidity there? Sweltering. You're sweating like crazy. You're sweating like crazy. And a lot of people in Bnei Brak, they're very machmir because the 9 days falls out in the summer. And they're machmir to not even take cold showers. Imagine 9 days without even taking cold showers. You know, the Sfaradim, Baruch Hashem, they didn't hold like that. It was easier for them to live in Bnei Brak. But look at that, Mesiud Nefesh for Hashem. But you know what? It's not difficult for them. It's not. That's what we're learning. It's not difficult. But the story goes that he hired these people. He told them, sit in the Beit Midrash. After a half hour, they couldn't handle anymore. Half of them were asleep. The other half didn't know what to do with the sefer. They were holding it like this. They were holding it like this. So we're putting it over here. And they're like, get us out of here. You take the money back. We can't do this. Here's people that could work outside from morning to night. You put them in the Beit Midrash and they're not able to do it. Why? This they have a ratzon, and for that they don't. You don't have a ratzon, it's impossible. It's so difficult. You're carrying it. If you don't understand what prayer is, you put a guy there, shaharit. You tell him, come 6:30. Till 7. He's sitting there from 6:30 to 7:30. He's being tormented for an entire hour because he doesn't understand. He sees a siddur in front of him. He's reading it like it's Chinese to him. Of course, it's going to be difficult. But a person who realizes, wait, you mean through this siddur, through these words, I'm connecting with the Ribono Shel Olam. Every single word I say over here in Shamayim causes earthquakes of Geulah, of redemption, of devotion, connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of bracha to the entire world. Everything is being sustained. I'm the Bill Gates. I'm the Bill Gates of the entire world just by saying Barichenu Hashem Elokenu, just by saying a few words. If a person understands that, what do you think? He's going to feel tefillah is being dragged out. He's going to say, what are you talking about? I'm able to have, this is what the Kaf HaHayim, he writes beautifully. He says, don't be upset if you have, sometimes you have people, they get up to be hazan, whether it's, perhaps it's a azkara, like, sometimes in the yort site, a person loses a loved one, he loses a father, loses a mother, he wants to be hazan. So he asks the Rav, he asks the Gabbai, and they tell him, B'chavod, of course. The problem is that he doesn't know how to pronounce the words, and it takes some time, and he's very slow, Baruch, Ata, Hashem, until he finishes a sentence. And they're there with the siddur, everybody's like this. Says the Kaf HaHayim, what are you upset about? What are you upset about? Why are you upset? Oh, he's too slow. We should be done 3 minutes ago, we should have been done. You know, zochet to be in the Beit HaKnesset, zochet to slow tefillah, more connection to HaKadosh. What are you upset about? You get to stay in the Beit HaKnesset longer, you get to be connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for longer. The answer is, if you understand, v'haya ekev tishmeun. Navayhi v'haya ekev tishmeun, then it makes perfect sense. What the Kaf HaHayim is saying, the whole Torah is easy to carry, it's easy to burden. Why? Because it's beautiful, because it's devotion, it's connecting. Me and Tuvia are being connected. That's the reality of the Torah. That's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees the matters. And we should know, one of the great concepts that is learned in this week's parasha is that there's no such thing as a small mitzvah. It's a very important yesod. A lot of times we look, Ekev tishmeun, to keep the small things, there's big things, there's small things. I'm impressed by the big things, the things that make the news. The guy donated $100,000 to yeshiva, he got a building on his name, made the news, wow. That's a big thing. But the small things, whatever. What's smaller? What's smaller than what Nebuchadnezzar did? The Chafetz Chaim, he said a beautiful drash. He went one time to a certain city, I think it was called Zundel, a city in Poland, in Europe, and he gave an amazing Dvar Torah. He says, if you look at the Gemara says that Nebuchadnezzar was rewarded for the 4 steps that he took. Now, what 4 steps? The Gemara says that there was a king named Baladan ben Baladan, the name of the king. And he was the king of Bavel. Now, Bavel, Iraq, is very far from Israel. It's pretty far. He was sending a letter to the king, Hizkiah Melech. Why was he sending a letter to Hizkiah? What do you have to do with Hizkiah? It says in the time of Hizkiah, Yeshaya Navi came to Hizkiah and told him, you're not going to live. Not in this world, not in the next world. He says, Hizkiah, I'm a righteous king. How come? He says, you didn't have children. You didn't get married, you didn't have children. He says, I saw my children are going to be Rishayim. I didn't have children. He was such a tzaddik that he had Ruach HaKodesh. He was able to see that if he were to have children, they're going to be Rishayim. It's better not to have children that are Rishayim. That's why I didn't have children. He said, why'd you get involved? Those are calculations of Hashem. You have a mitzvah, do your mitzvah. You're a soldier, you're not a general. In comparison to a king, even though he's a king. But what's a king? Is an Eved to Hashem. So says Hizkiah, you're right. You're right? Give me your daughter. He says, you don't hear what I'm saying? I said you're going to die. What daughter? He says, no, a person could be on his deathbed and he still has to pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu because everything could change in a moment. Hizkiah turns to the face of the wall and he starts praying to Hashem. Yeshayahu takes 10 steps, leaving, because Hizkiah said, get out of here. You finished your prophecy, get out. I don't need to listen to you when it comes to if I should pray or not pray. That I already have a misorah for. So Yeshaya is walking out the door. Hashem stops, stop Yeshaya. 10 steps since he just finished the prophecy. 10 steps he took. Stop. Go back to Hizkiah and tell him I listened to his tefillah. What happened? 5 seconds. Yeshaya was embarrassed. So I'm going to go back to him now. I just told him that he's not going to live. You told me to tell him he's not going to live. Now I should go back to him and tell him. Yes, go back to him and tell him. So Hizkiah says, I want a sign. He says, what sign do you want? I want the sun to stop. That's beseder. Be'emet. The sun stopped for 10 hours that day. But the sun didn't just stop for Hizkiah. It stopped for the world. So guess what happened? Baladan in Iraq, he's there sleeping. And all of a sudden, he's not realizing what's going on. The sun went ahead and stopped. All of the timing was off. And they're telling him, look, this is the morning. And he's saying, what are you talking about? It's the afternoon. They get into the whole thing. They say, no, Melech, you were sleeping. The sun stopped for 10 hours. He says, how did such a thing happen? You tell me, you're lying to me. He thought they were lying to him. He asked other people that weren't in the palace. They said the same thing. Everybody said the same thing. He couldn't believe it. What? Because of Hizkiah Melech, the sun stopped? What a great king. What a great Elohim they have. What a great God they have. I have to send him a letter. So he starts writing the letter, and he says, Shalom Alecha, Melech Hizkiah, Karta di Yerushalayim, ve'elaha Rabbah. He says, peace unto you, the great King Hizkiah, the great city of Yerushalayim, and Elaha Rabbah, and the great king, a great God, meaning to say. So Nebuchadnezzar reads the letter. He reads it to correct any grammatical mistakes, right? All the problems. It says, Kvod HaMelech, you called him Elaha Rabbah. You called him the great God, but you put him last in the sentence. If he's the great God, he should be first in the sentence. Not last. You put Hizkiah, Yerushalayim, and it's the opposite. Put Elaha Rabbah, Yerushalayim, Hizkiah. Says, you're right. The reader of the letter should be the messenger to correct the letter. And Be'emet, Nebuchadnezzar takes the letter and walks 4 steps to correct and to change it. And bizchut, the 4 steps that he walked. Now, why didn't he walk more than 4 steps? Because Gabriel stood him. It says, Ba Gabriel vehemido. Gabriel came and basically paralyzed him, so he shouldn't take any more steps. But the Gemara continues and says, if it wasn't for Gabriel who paralyzed him, lo nishtaya misonerim shel Yisrael sarid upalit. If it wasn't for Gabriel who stopped Hizkiah Melech, you could forget about who stopped Nebuchadnezzar. You could forget about anybody in Am Yisrael ever existing. This is an incredible thing. Why? Bizchut, the 4 steps of Nebuchadnezzar, he was zochet to 4 lines of kings. Him, his son Evil Merodach, Belshazzar, and a 4th generation. Except the Hafetz Chaim asks a question. He says, if you look at the Gemara, it says 4 steps. But many of you might remember the Midrash doesn't say 4 steps. It says 3 steps. The Gemara says 4, the Midrash says 3. Haketzad, what is it, Machloket? Says the Chafetz Chaim a Chidush, he says there's no disagreement. They're both right, Elu ve'elu. How's it both right? Because the Gemara, Shas, is counting 4 steps, it counts even half steps. So it's 3 full steps and half a step. That's step 4. And the Midrash is counting full steps. In full steps there was only 3. But Bemet there were really, how much was there really? 3.5. Says the Chafetz Chaim, every step HaKadosh Baruch Hu measured, measure for measure. The first king, Nebuchadnezzar, long life, kingship endured until his death. The second king, Evil Merodach, same story. The third king, Belshazzar, full, until his death he was king. The fourth, Vashti HaMalkah, Belshazzar's daughter, Vashti HaMalkah. Vashti was supposed to be queen the whole entire duration. As long as she was married to Achashverosh, Achashverosh is alive, she's supposed to be alive. He's king, she's supposed to be queen. But what happened? Ba Gabriel, that 4th step of Nebuchadnezzar, he was supposed to take a full step. Gabriel stopped him halfway, half a step. That half a step translated into half a kingship. When Vashti became queen as a result of the actions of her great-great-grandfather Nebuchadnezzar, how long was her queenship? Half. As it says by Esther, Ad Hatzia Malchut v'inatenach. Half of the kingship will be given to you. Because where's the other half? Vashti had the other half. Came along Esther HaMalkah, took the place of Vashti. If it wasn't for Gabriel, says the Chafetz Chaim, stopping Nebuchadnezzar from that full, complete 4th step, who would have been queen the whole time? Vashti. And what would have happened with Am Yisrael? Haman's decree. And nobody in Am Yisrael would have remained because Achashverosh was in control of 127 provinces. Lo nishtaya sarid upalit. Comes along Gabriel and stops it. Vashti's kingship is cut in half. Esther becomes the queen. Esther saves Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael is here today. Bizchut that. Half a step of Nebuchadnezzar changed whether there was an existence of Am Yisrael or not. And that's by a Rasha like Nebuchadnezzar. And we take our mitzvot lightly. If half a step got so much reward, imagine what it means to sit in a Bet Midrash and to learn. To say a Shmona Yisrael, for 5 minutes to say a Shmona Yisrael with concentration. What that means, what kind of schut, what kind of merit, what an Ekev Tishmeun is. There is no Ekev. There is no such thing as a simple mitzvah. Incredible mitzvot. Every mitzvah, every opportunity, a smile that uplifts somebody else. Such a great mitzvah. The stopping, a person stops himself from saying Lashon. He wanted to say something to his friend. I shouldn't say that. It's not the right thing to say. What happens? 3 minutes later, he forgets about it. It's such a great mitzvah. What are you talking about? That's front page. As they say, front page of the New York Times. That's front page of the New York Times. That deserves more news than everything the New York Times posted from the beginning of its career to the end of its Bezat Hashem B'meira V'Yamenu, the end of its cycle. Right? The whole career, he did something greater than anything. Greater than anything. The koach of what it means to do a singular mitzvah is worth more than everything else in the world. This is the yesod that the Chafetz Chaim teaches us, which is a very, very powerful yesod. It actually connects to, you got to read everybody that does Shnai Mikra Ve'echad Targum, It's a mitzvah, right? Obligation to do shnai mikra v'echad targum. Anybody that does it, you have to pay extra careful in this week's parasha to focus. It's unbelievable. So many things that are here are lessons for our time. How HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, so amazing things. Amazing. Ki toma bilvavecha. Read the Pesukim. You don't have to say like major chidush. You just read the Pesukim. They're just so powerful. You'll say in your heart, Rabbi magoyim ele mimeni, echa ucha leorisham. How will I inherit these goyim? If you don't say this applies today, I mean, these Pesukim are speaking to us now. We are living, Am Yisrael, one little country, in the face of hundreds of countries that hate us, despise us without any question. We haven't for a long time in Am Yisrael seen anti-Semitism like we're seeing today. Every day in the news, another country, an entire country full of anti-Semites with presidents that are anti-Semites, like in France, like Norway. What does Norway have against Jewish people? Ireland, these people, Scotland, people that hate Sonei Israel, even Great Britain, which is like relatively considered to be an ally of Am Yisrael, even they have so many Soneim, haters of Am Yisrael. So many countries are turning against, for what? For a nation that's just simply trying to defend itself and return hostages that were stolen and are deprived of food, to bring them back. An entire world is in uproar. How dare you try returning your hostages? How dare you try fighting a war? You should sit there and accept everything. It's crazy how much hatred there is. But at the same time, we have to realize, for 70 years plus, the state of Israel has been convinced. They just said recently on the news, Netanyahu gets up and he says there's a front of the war, another front. Aside from all of the enemies we have around us, there's a front called the front of public relations. It's not just this thing, it's the whole industry. There's an entire element of government, an entire bureaucracy whose job it is to fight for public opinion and to make Am Yisrael loved in the eyes of the Goyim, that the Goyim should view us favorably. So much money, energy, and advertisements, in advocacy is spent so that the Goyim will like us. And therefore, hopefully, having the love and the admiration of the Goyim, they'll allow the state to continue. When your entire existence depends, in the minds of many of Am Yisrael, unfortunately, depends on the love of the Goyim, these are the results. You end up that the people that you trust are the ones that are going to betray you. And they're not going to love you, and they're not just not going to love you, they're going to hate you and try to bring you down. When you understand that the only thing that you need to earn trust and love is trust and love of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and His will and what He wants, then you'll understand that a lot of these things are superfluous or unnecessary. If Hashem, there's many nations, why do they do this? Why do you think a whole entire state wants the whole world to love us? Because we're afraid. What are we afraid of? We have too many enemies. We have enemies surrounding us. We have Arab enemies, we have Western enemies, we have liberal enemies. So many enemies. How could we defeat them? So the answer that's secular is we have to get them to like us. We need to do advocacy, we need to do this, we need to feel good, we need to give our enemy aid, we need to do more than any other country. They even say, everybody says, Israel does more to provide food to their enemy, to the Palestinians, than any country has ever done in the history of war. And does anybody love the Jewish people? Because dafka that caused them to hate us. They're causing starvation. They're still with the whole thing. Says the Kadosh Baruch Hu, lo tira mehem. Don't be afraid of all the enemies. Zachot tisko. All you have to do, remember, who took you out of Mitzrayim? Was there any natural way to get out of Egypt? Who did this? Asher asa Adonai Elohecha lefarao lecho Mitzrayim. Hamasot hagedolot. Asher ra'u einecha, your own eyes saw. The miracles, the yad hazakah, zro netuyah. Asher ata yareh mipenehem. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I did it for you. What, you don't think I could do it again? All I am asking for is a devotion, a connection, a love, a trust only in me. You trust in me. One time, This is a great story because it depicts exactly what's going on. There was a poor man, and the poor man, he went collecting. He would collect door to door, and he would get stuck out. This point, he would give $2, he would give $5, he would give whatever. Everybody would give a little bit. He knew that there was one home. The man was very wealthy, supported several yeshivot, and every yeshiva he would donate $50,000, $100,000. Mamash kept them on their feet year to year. He says, I know I'll go to this one. B'ezrat Hashem, he'll take care of me. I don't need to collect door to door anymore. He knocks on the door. He says his case. He's very charismatic, very convincing, real cause, something of major tzedakah, major importance. The wealthy man hears him, takes out his checkbook, 101. I feel your chesed organization. It's a great organization, amazing organization. I want to donate. I want to be part of. He gives them 101. He's looking at the check and he's saying to himself, I don't mean to be disrespectful. I love any amount is a big mitzvah. He says, but I don't understand. Rashi Yeshivot come to you and you donate to them hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're saying my cause is no less than their cause. Same level. How come me, I get 101 and they get hundreds of thousands? It's very simple. They come to me as the sole provider for them. They don't have door-to-door collections. They go to me, they go to this and that person, 3 different people, let's say, and they are dependent on me. If I don't provide for them, then they lose their ability to provide. They're dependent on me. You, on the other hand, you go door to door. So just like you went and knocked on so-and-so's door and he gave you money, and so-and-so's door and he gave you money, I also give you the same amount of money. You have many people you depend on. So many people will provide you that hatzlacha. That's the mashal. The nimshal is, if we Am Yisrael are knocking door to door, Europe, can you do us a favor? Australia, could you do this for South America? Can you do us a favor? We need all of your support. We knock door to door. America, what do you do for us? Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we're also knocking on your door. So we get $5 from America, we get $1 from here, $1 from here. It says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'll also give you $5. Because look, you're dependent on many, let the many provide for you. If we come to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and say, no, not this and not that and not only you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will write a check for the whole amount. It says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're depending on me? Only me, nobody else but me. Then I have to provide for you. Then I have to give the whole amount. And that's what it means. Trust in me, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Enough of this. Trying to appease this person and appease that person and bending our own values and what we know is right and what the Torah says to do. To bend it over because what will the Goyim say? And what will the Goyim think? And how much of a quote-unquote Chilul Hashem it's going to be in the eyes of the Goyim when the Torah tells us what it is Hashem wants us to do. It's not going to work. We're going to get pennies from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we're going to get pennies from everybody else, and it's not going to add up. The right way to go about is to understand, Lo taguru mipinehem, don't be afraid. We have the Almighty Hashem, who took us out of Egypt, who saved us many times before, who has no lack of abundance of ways and creativity to free us from all of these enemies, as many as they are. It says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm stronger than them, and all you have to do is turn to me and realize that that's where the Yeshua comes from. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ואמן. ביחניה בקשה אומר, עשה הקדוש ברוך הוא, זה הכל סל. לפיכך באנו תום מצוות, שנאמר אדוני חפץ למען צדקו.